broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
But stop, we're like 3 on with no breaks! It's the AfterBuzz TV Foster's After Show, and tonight we're talking about the episode called Show. And here to help us, we have 3 very exciting guests. Bradley Bredweg, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Bradley is the creator, a producer, and this director of this episode.
Yes.
Oh my god. And on the couch, guys, please introduce yourselves. It's Ashley.
Hey, I'm Ashley. What's going on? I don't know where I'm looking. Hey.
Hey, and it's Corbin Bleu. What's up, everybody?
The original Romeo and Juliet. That's right.
Oh my god, reunited.
So cool.
They didn't die. They're here.
We didn't die,
They
guys.
made it back. Oh my god.
Yay.
Let's do some quick intros from the panel over here. I'm Jeffrey Masters. I tweet from Jeff Masters 1.
I'm Stephanie Giorgi. I tweet from @StephanieGiorgi.
And I'm Julian Leff. I tweet from @Julian Leff. And as always, you can tweet me during the episode using my handle @Julian Leff or the hashtag ABTVFosters. The internet's a little weird tonight. I feel like there's going to be an influx of tweets since you guys are all here, which is amazing. So I will try to get to as many fan questions as possible.
Thank you, Jillian, for doing that. And of course, you can subscribe and rate us on iTunes, YouTube. Leave us a comment there. We love hearing from you. This was a huge episode, the episode we've been leading up to the whole season. That's like season B season, we'll say.
Yes. 3B.
3B, yeah.
Yes.
And then on a personal note, I've been predicting the Foster's musical since day one, since
Yes.
everyone is so musically inclined.
You have?
Roll the tape.
have.
Roll the
Season
tape.
1?
We have the tape. We do. No, it was when Brandon was like getting musical, and then Mariana, we found out, could sing. She had like a light single she put out, I think, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And Callie did, Maia did the Teen Beach movie.
Right.
I've been
We have
looking forward to this.
Very musical kids. We really do. We're surrounded by them.
Was that a coincidence?
Yeah, it really was. You know, we just cast the right actors, and they just happen to be triple threats themselves. So
Oh my god.
we're capitalizing.
Yes.
You know, there's so many changes that go on, like in the creative process, and the show evolves in the making of the show. How similar is the show now to what it was when you like first envisioned it?
I mean, it's similar. We're still the same family, and we still, you know, I think, have the same principles. You know, you never know in this town, but it still feels like we're really grounded, and we try to do the best jobs that we can. I think it's just it's a well-oiled machine at this point. You know, that first season, we were just all trying to figure it out too, you know, and it was our first show, and, you know, we were just kind of thrown into, you know, a 10 episode order, and we were, you know, having the time of our life, but we were winging it too. You know, we were figuring things out as we went along. And now we know what we're doing, and, you know, we're surrounded by the right team and the right crew, and we're just very lucky that way.
Well, this episode, the show, was a well-oiled machine, and I personally feel like it had a lot to do with the man behind the camera. How was it directing the episode?
It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Wow. I mean, these guys know we still only had 7 days, right? So every episode we shoot 7 days. Sometimes 6, but mostly we only have 7 days.
So that's staging and shooting.
Yes. And we staged it pretty quickly. Like, these guys were they came on board, and...
We had 1 day to learn the 2 huge musical numbers of the show. We learned it all in 1 day.
As we were watching the episode, Ashley and I were sitting there going, it hurt so much more than
I
it looks like.
When we watched the big fight sequence, my legs started hurting like all over again. It was like PTSD. It was terrible.
A lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot of work, but I mean, it was so worth it. It was really beautiful what came together at the end.
That fight was intense too, though. The Mercutio fight.
That fight was fun.
Woo!
It's so fun. Well, and you guys haven't had a chance to watch the full Romeo and Juliet.
Which is on the
Piece
Freeform
two.
app.
The
If anybody
Freeform
wants
app.
to go and watch that
Yes,
right now.
we will, as soon as we get home.
Gotta check that out too, because well, first of all, I was just very lucky and blessed to be able to work with this man again, and then with this beautiful girl again. We did Romeo and Juliet, Love is a Battlefield at the Rockwell, and we played Romeo and Juliet. And then to be able to come back and play Mercutio and Benvolio
yeah.
and see the whole show from a different light. But what when you look at Romeo and Juliet, obviously as adults, we all know Romeo and Juliet. Okay, it can be a little bit overplayed, but what he did with it is he completely revamped it and made it rocked out and fun and cool to watch, and from a new, different, young perspective. So doing the show at the Rockwell for me was just very, very special.
It was so much fun. We had a really,
And
it was
get to do it
6,
again.
7 months of
6 months.
that show.
Yeah.
Was that long?
To run a show for 6
Wow.
months in LA is.
We won
we all
awards,
know
y'all.
how hard that's been.
Yes.
Well, it was funny because when sort of like the musical idea was introduced this season and we had found out that it was going to be Romeo and Juliet, Jeff and I had seen the show in LA and we were kind of wondering like, well, what are they going to do? You know, if it's going to be original music, like how is this going to be? And it's so funny because before we walked in the room, Steph and I were both singing some of the songs that we already have stuck in our head, you know, from watching the episode once. So I actually can't wait to go home and download the songs that are available on iTunes. And I saw that they're like...
The
We're
soundtrack's doing
album
so
number
well.
24 in the top 100 right now.
Yes,
That's crazy.
that
We
is.
just passed Sia and The Weeknd.
Yeah, listen, I
We're
saw...
right behind Hamilton, though.
Well, no,
aren't
I
we,
was
in
like,
the
I saw
soundtrack?
Hamilton,
soundtracks,
I
yeah.
saw
No.
Fosters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are number 4 soundtracks in the country.
Yeah.
And number 24 in
Nailed
top
it.
100 albums.
Well done.
It's
Right?
Batman vs Superman, Hamilton, Passion, which was this week, and the Fosters.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
amazing.
So we're just below Jesus and Hamilton.
and Batman.
Yes.
All the same person.
Dreams do come true.
All right. So was there some relief for you guys? In the RNJ, the stage version, you guys were on stage the entire time. Was there some relief going into this, being like, oh my God, smaller roles, we get to like relax and breathe and have a cup of water? Or
No.
not really.
No, not even.
Not
in the
even a
least.
little bit.
Oh, wait, there's so
If
much-
anything, I was more stressed out
Absolutely.
this time.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because when you do theater, you know that whatever you do, you go out there, it's going to happen, and you have a certain amount of people that are going to watch that performance. That's what one of the beauty of theater is.
Yeah.
You know, however, when you're talking about putting it onto camera, it's there for life, as well as you're doing it over and
Yeah,
over
it's a
and
totally
over and
different
over again. It's not like you're
game.
going to just bring up your energy, do the one performance. This is, you have to nail it take after take after take.
That was the thing. I was so sore after, like, we had, what was it, 5 days of rehearsal?
Yeah.
For the musical part of it, we had 5 days of rehearsal, and I was so sore afterwards. And we had like a couple weeks break, I think, because it was New Year's and
Yeah.
Christmas. And I had to like make sure that I like recuperated in the 2 weeks because I knew we were going to be doing that fight over and over and over and over again.
And especially you're talking about Christmas and New Year's. I mean, that's the time you want to.
like
You
relax.
want to eat. You want to just have
we
all
sent
your.
everyone away saying do not eat or drink anything because their
Yeah.
costumes were pretty damn tight. I mean, they were like
Yeah.
form-fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
I
shirt
know.
was like up here. Thank you.
Okay, just give us an estimate. Like, let's say the fight scene. How many times did you guys run it while shooting it? Like, on the shooting day?
Okay, well, the fight sequence at the end of the day, you have to think you have all these different
Yeah.
angles.
Yeah.
And each angle was maybe, what, 3 or 4?
We had 3 cameras running most of the time, and we
Yeah.
probably ran it, I would say, 8 to 10 times.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have a lot of time, remember? We were kind
Yeah.
of gunning and running.
Yeah.
We really only
There
had
was some
4
really
days
cool
to shoot
shots,
the
though,
musical.
where the camera guy was like on stage with us. So those were really
Yeah.
cool because we would have to like dance around him a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So
The masquerade being one of the most
yeah.
interesting.
It
Because
was
the-
raining that day we did the masquerade.
yes, that
it
was
was
the thing. The stage
insane.
flooded.
Oh man.
Our whole stage turned into Waterworld.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So I show up. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. It's pouring rain outside. By the way, we shot like a block away from here.
Amazing.
It's pouring rain outside. I walk in and literally the entire warehouse is flooded.
soaked. It was soaked.
The most expensive set we've ever built. I'm talking like you right now. Expensive set we've ever built, and we're about to lose it. And so we just brought in all these vacuums, and
Oh my God.
like the crew was
We
just
had to,
sucking
like,
out the water.
squeegee
And
the stage. I was
It
like
was
helping
scary.
one of our ADs.
So after every take, we're having to wipe our feet because then otherwise we're making
Sliding.
And
white
there was-
footprints or sliding around.
There were a few takes where the Steadicam wanted to get like Matt and Mariana in the middle, so we would have to run around the
Steadicam.
camera guy. So we're like running on the stage and then like in the water and then like back up on the stage and like in the water again. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to slip and like break my leg. This is crazy. It was insane.
worth it.
So worth it. It looks so
the
great.
show must go on.
The show. Let's just
So
Let us
not,
perform.
so not less stressful.
no, not at
even-
all.
not always.
And in my head, I'm like, what? Why is this
Why
happening?
me?
Yeah.
Have you been wanting to direct since the beginning of the season or series?
I always knew that was something I would eventually do. I didn't think I would be doing it on the Fosters. I thought, I wasn't sure. And then when this started to appear in the writer's room and we started talking about doing the musical episode, then, I, of course, jumped on it because it's been my baby. It is my baby. And, Peter and Joanna, they've directed beautifully. And that's intimidating, too. When you're like the third one out of the gate and you've got these two masters in front of you, it was a scary thing. And I couldn't pass it up. I had to jump in and do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. It went so well. I just also can't believe, like, Mariana, she's been on the show since day one, and she can sing so beautifully, and her voice is so, like, mature and rich, and it's just, like, that's so fortunate to write a role for that.
I know. We're very lucky. We saw, when we first started the Fosters, we saw this video of her on stage at the Apollo, and she was, like, 9 or 10 years old. It's on YouTube. You have to go find it, and she was incredible. She was incredible. And she just, and you know how tough the Apollo crowd is. They just fell in love with her. And so when we saw that, we instantly knew what we had. And then we just heard some of her music and some of her other videos. And she just, she blows us away.
Wow. Do you remember what she was singing?
It was probably like Patti LaBelle, or it was like something really soulful. I can't remember. If you give me a second, I'll think of it. But it was quite spectacular.
It was so funny watching the show, the musical show, in this episode. Sorry, not talking about the battlefield.
Yeah.
Just because when Matt stabs himself and then she woke up, I gasped. And like, how many times have we seen R&J? Right? I was like, isn't it a surprise?
That's what I had said prior to. I was like, it doesn't matter what adaptation of Romeo and Juliet it is. Like, if you're invested to the story, and depending on who's performing it, it's like you feel it all over again. And I thought it was just great because it was a musical, and I think I was emotional to see my favorite story being performed with music. I'm like, I was skeptical about the entire thing from the beginning, so I'm like, well, let's see what they're gonna do with it. And then I was like, oh my God.
Good to know.
No, I mean, I was, because it's like, it's one of those things, if you're passionate about it, you are. And well done.
Yeah.
I mean, the cousin and best friend, that was an important part too. So I was like, I hope they give it their all, and you guys did, and it was amazing. That's why I'm like quiet right now, because I'm a fan first. So I'm like, oh my God.
I know. I was like, I've never seen Steph this quiet before.
Because I'm so intrigued to listen, and like I hear myself talk all day, so it's like I'm okay with that.
I told you I love to listen to you talk, so just talk away. I need more accent though.
All right.
Yeah.
So in this process, you've built a complete musical, more or less, Romeo and Juliet. Is that something that theaters are going to be able to get the rights to do for themselves, just down the line?
Oh, I mean, who knows? Because the album is taking off right now, and hopefully it continues to climb. There have been some conversations about maybe trying this for a night or two somewhere here in town. We'll see if that happens. But there's some behind the scenes chatter.
We wouldn't hate it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't hate it.
Yeah. Speaking of behind the scenes, let's segue to what was happening in the show, specifically intermission. Mariana and Matt.
They prevailed. I knew it. I was waiting.
Are you on Team Matt?
Of course. I let everyone know. We tweeted the entire time. I was like, I knew Mariana.
I do not like Matt, but Nick has just won me over this season. Yeah.
Tell me why. Because I'm hearing that a lot, and I want to know why. I want to know why it is.
I think because the first 2 episodes I did not like him at all. Yeah. So I've had the whole journey with him. I just find that he's so endearing, and he takes care of Mariana, and he's very kind to her, and I feel like he's working hard to get her attention and affection, and starting from the place of who is this bozo speeding down the road. I think he's really just come around, and I find myself really fond of him.
Right.
In his character.
He's more of a little project where Matt is love and chemistry. That's what exists, and they can't hide it.
Yeah.
So that's why Nick was cute, and yes, I was really nice to see his character grow, but there wasn't anything between them, and every scene that Matt and Mariana had, I'm so happy that they were able to portray it on screen, that it was real, without anything being said. And it's Matt and Mariana. It's our favorite.
Matiana.
Yeah.
No, I think I really do like Matt and Mariana together. I think that I don't hate Nick for stealing the note, because Mariana's a fantastic woman. We've seen her sort of transition from a girl to a woman on this show, and I would fight for her too if I was in that position. So I don't hate him for that. because he wants to keep her.
Yeah.
I think he's now, the test is going to be, will she speak up? Because they had that honest conversation, about, don't cheat on me. Let's have the talk, and I'd rather you break up with me, which I completely respect, and I feel like that's sort of a very adult thing to do for someone in high school. I feel like in high school it's very easy to just, mess around and move on and not think twice about it and just never talk to the person again. And for him to step up and say that. So I'm curious to see the falling out from that, because we did get a little snippet of it in the preview for next week.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I love Matt and Mariana together, but I also think that Nick is really good for her. So she has a choice.
You seem very surprised that we like Nick so much.
No, I like to hear that, because he had quite a journey this season, and I know where we're going, so I have all this information in the back of my head, and so I just love to hear. I love to hear why people have fallen so in love with him, because a lot of people have. And he's, as an actor, he's so charming. He reminds me of Jason Priestley on 90210.
Oh my
he
God,
looks just
yes.
like Brandon. He really does. But yeah, so we'll talk after the finale. It'll be interesting to see what you think after the finale.
Oh, I'm nervous.
We have some tweets coming in. One from Maddie. She said, when Matt and Mariana held hands at the end, my heart melted.
That was
What a moment, right? Helga tweeted at me, hey girl, Team Matt all the way, Matiana forever. Nick isn't good enough for Mariana, even if he has money. Which I feel like a lot of people think
girl.
that,
Okay, but like the older you get, the more like money's the only important thing for me. Like if we're being honest here.
I mean, yeah.
You need that security.
My
you
friend
do.
just married Rachel. I respect her so much. Any other questions?
That's true. Do you have money? Great. You're adult. Well.
Any more tweets?
Moving on.
No, I just am over. Period. And stop.
Let's see. Megan Cassiotti. I know I butchered your name last week, and I'm sorry. I say Zoe, Nick, and Sally should form a school group with Talia.
Oh.
All the villains.
Well, Nick isn't a villain. I've never seen him as one, and that's
Yeah.
fine. That's why he just hurts. But it's like, the story of like who comes first. You have to be loyal, and then there's always that great person that teaches you something and shows you something. But I think really all he's there is to serve as that, that break between them. And again, I talk like I wrote it, and like I already know the rest of the episode. So sorry if I'm wrong, but
Yeah, I'm not comfortable labeling
think-
Zoe a villain yet.
no, well, Zoe, no, a little bit, because she knew what she was doing, and that's your typical manipulative woman. Okay, in the movie Drive Me Crazy, there's a line that Melissa Joan Hart says that when men and women compete, they do it very differently.
Sorry, what a throwback.
Yes, I know.
Pull that
But-
Melissa Joan Hart quote just right out of your pocket.
Yes, because she says that when men do it, it's
calling
all
her
about
one.
like competitiveness in sports. When women do it, it's an art, because we get in your mind and we think deeper. And so when that girl sat down, she knew exactly what that whole sexual situation thing is, and she wanted to guilt trip Mariana by saying, he's not going to dump you. Don't even try doing it because we had sex. They might have not even had sex.
She had claws. You didn't see them. I saw them.
And she probably
I
lied.
was just like really impressed by her voice, so maybe that like softened the blow.
You did.
Right.
He was
She
like,
had a great voice.
Zoe,
Incredible
Yeah,
voice.
really beautiful
Not
voice.
expecting
Yeah,
that.
no, she's a powerhouse.
But still, it's like the thing, a girl sees that there's something threatening, and she's like, I need to mark my spot. Like, I'm going to tell you whatever I have to say to make you. I don't care if you like me. You don't have to like me, but
Exactly.
you just need to know where I stand with your former man.
And women have good intuition, so she saw what was happening between Matt and.
I just wasn't impressed with her claws because I know gay people and they can throw shade so much better. I've met a gay person in my life, but just one.
Side note, Anton Maslowski just tweeted, the energy in this room is electric, which
Oh,
I think that's a compliment for
damn.
us. So thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Corbin's engaged. Watch out. Separation on the couch. Separation.
We had to do the show together, but had to pretty much make out
We made
every
out
single night.
for 2
And my
hours
fiance
every
is
night.
sitting right there. Luckily, the two of them
I was-
actually worked together prior to that, so
I
they're
knew
friends.
Sasha for a year before I met you.
Yeah.
So I was.
So it's all good.
Yeah, all
It's all
good.
good.
It's
And I
all
love
fine.
her. Hi, Sasha, if you're watching this. Hey.
Didn't we have a conversation about that, like the comfortability and like because you guys are
because
friends?
you were like,
and
I think we have Romeo, our new Romeo, and I was like, really, who is it gonna be? And he was like, I think we're gonna Corbin Bleu. And
I didn't say it like that. I was like, it's Corbin Bleu.
You did? I was like, great, I know his fiance.
I would never say, have you ever heard of Corbin Bleu? Because I was flipping out.
Yeah, he was so
I was
excited.
flipping out.
I I know. It was so
Got to do what you
exciting.
and both
It
of
was
you.
really cool. And I was like, well, I know it's Beyonce. I was like, this is going to be fun. But I love Sasha and I love Corbin. And it was fun.
Yeah.
I was excited.
Talk about electric. The two of them were so. Did you saw
No,
that
we
version,
saw the
right?
first Romeo.
Okay.
I saw that version.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was good. It was real good.
The better version.
Oh.
I love you.
I'll call it the preview. I got the preview performance.
So speaking of electric, at I'm So Bradley just tweeted, I loved the lighting and cinematography throughout the whole episode. So my question to you is, did you have a vision going into it of what you wanted it to look like? Or was this a collaboration with a bunch of people?
It was definitely a collaboration, but yeah, I had a pretty clear vision. I had the luxury of being able to live in this world before, so going in, I wanted to, step it up a couple of notches, of course. But yeah, I surrounded myself with a lot of the same team. We brought on Brad Hooks, who writes a lot of Brandon's piano music on the show, and did Lou's band with Brandon as well, all their music.
Oh.
Someone's little sister.
Yeah. And then he was our musical director on Love is a Battlefield. And so he wrote all of those songs. And then I brought on Chris Downey and Sarah Ann Fahey, who were our choreographers on this show.
There's some
We've had
legit
Chris on the show.
choreography.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, we've had Chris here.
During
yeah,
our
we
dance
have.
team stuff,
Yeah.
right?
In fact,
Yeah.
we did a dance with him.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. That was a good
loved it.
episode.
He loved it.
So yeah, I was surrounded by that same team. So I was very kind of lucky that way.
So follow-up question, whose idea was the heavy guy liner? Because I'd like to thank them. It really brought me back to
Wait,
like
the heavy
early
guy liner and
2000s.
the contouring, though.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
so-
it was...
Contours,
All over.
everything.
It was like all about
On
the gaunt,
Tybalt.
the gaunt
Tybalt's-
face.
Oh my God.
And you guys, I don't know if you guys could
Contouring,
really
I
see
had,
it,
like,
but
that
everybody had their
peacock.
nails painted.
I saw.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys and girls, yeah.
I love that.
It was
Funny,
blue
you-
for Jude.
I know.
It's funny you mentioned cinematography. My favorite part, and I told you after the
Yeah.
episode, was when it pans back and forth between Brandon
Yes.
and then the two girls.
Yes.
And that
So good.
It's
I was
just
so
gonna say, the
well
shadowing
done. That
was
my
unbelievable.
favorite moment.
Honestly, I would show this if I was teaching like a history class or something in school now. I would show this version just to get the percent, because the way that you relate everyone's relationship,
Yeah.
to Romeo and Juliet, it'd be like such a good way. Like, okay, you didn't get the book, here, let me show you a different way, and tell me if you understand it now. And then now let's discuss the story,
Right.
because it was just.
It was
perfect.
important for us to do that on the Fosters,
Yeah.
and that, to credit Joanna Johnson and Peter Page and all of us in the writers' room, it was sort of the only way to do a version of Romeo and Juliet on the Fosters would be to make sure that all of our characters have something, some attachment to it.
Absolutely.
So those stories became just as important. That's why we have so many looks in the audience while they're watching
Yeah.
the show, and yeah.
And it just allows the characters to be like introspective too, like seeing themselves on like stage.
Yeah.
Yes.
And art moves us, and art brings us back, and art, raises memories and,
Yeah.
and attachments.
It's such a subtle, small thing, but when Callie and Brandon had their duet when he was practicing and needed her to sing it, it's a very subtle thing, but one of my pet peeves on shows is when they're like, oh, I know the song, and they like know it perfectly from sight reading it, and then they're just have it
Right.
memorized. And the fact that she said, oh, I've heard Mariana do it 1,000 times.
Yes.
I was like, that makes
Billion.
sense. Like,
Yeah.
I needed that little reason for her to
good.
know it.
Good.
So like everyone was like, thank you.
And her hesitation too. That is one of my
Yes.
favorite scenes in the episode, because the two of them, obviously, we know how great they are together, but it just felt so
Bradley,
in the moment,
Yeah.
Yeah.
captain and first mate, right here on that ship.
Oh yeah, the both of you, and you're not so much,
I'm
right?
gonna tugboat.
No.
Sort of hanging
No.
on, or
Like,
not?
there's a rope, but he's turning 18 soon. They're gonna go to
I'm
college.
cutting that rope, dude.
I just not the big incest.
Many people tweeted me
not
this
incest.
week.
It's not incest, yeah.
It was like crazy because Jeff has all these strong opinions, which are great. And Steph and I really don't have those opinions, but a lot of them tweeted at me this week saying that
your
Brandon
nails.
is going to be 18 in the next episode, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, so it's coming, baby.
Here's
Don't
the thing.
worry.
It's not me against Bradley, because their chemistry is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's that I, for so long, wanted Callie to have a nice, safe home and not like overweighed my want for her to have like true love.
I understand that. I mean, we constantly talk about that at work
sure.
in the writers' room. It's always a conversation, at least 5 times a week.
Is it hard to not give the fans what they want? Because I feel like they're so vocal.
They're extremely vocal, and we always say we don't let the noise deter us. We don't tell our stories based on what we read on social media. But at the same time, we love interacting with our fans, and we love the fact that they're so vocal and they're so passionate and so in it. So to me, it's almost like theater. It's like to be able to interact with your audience while you're watching it. It's a new form of almost being in the room with everyone and feeling that pulse and that energy.
Absolutely.
I love it.
The scene that actually my favorite that was really emotional for me was when Brandon is pulling her like so aggressively and she gets scared and he's like, let's do it now, because that was just the realest moment. And then they had to sit down. He's like, and why do you think? Almost like he had to teach her that lesson. She's like, it's too late. Oh, that made me cry a lot. It was really hard for me.
And I liked that you guys continued that scene. We had a big moment of like, do you think we could have worked had we told moms?
Right.
And then we cut, and then I was like, no, we need to continue this, and we did. But what do we think on the panel? Do we think if they had told them and like been truthful, would they have allowed it? Would their outcome have been different? What do you think, Jillian?
I think that before she was in Adam's foster, I feel like the moms have a very strong moral compass, and I don't know if they would have let that slide, honestly. And I feel like they did make the right choice by not saying anything. But also, the great thing about their love story is it's so true to what high school is.
Yes.
Although it's surrounded by so many dramatic elements that you would never have in a normal high school life. We all have our drama, but Callie's is just like amplified. It really does show the truth in a relationship. Like, a lot of people don't end up with the person that they first fall in love with. A lot of people aren't with the same people that they met in high school. More power to you if you have had that high school sweeheart, or even my friend has a middle school sweetheart. They've been together since they were in 8th grade, and they're happily married with 2 kids.
Hey.
Wow.
And it's just like, you don't know what it's going to be. But for me, I feel like Bradley is so true, and as a viewer, it keeps me hanging on because neither of them are happy. So they're still wanting each other, and who knows? We talk about it all the time. Yeah. Maybe in 10 years, maybe in 5 years, they revisit their situation, because how many times do you go back to your ex?
Yes, of course.
It's like a comfortable spot, and maybe it's not the time now, but it could be the time in the future. And don't give up, fans.
Yes. God, that's why she's the captain. I'm right there with you, girl. No, I agree 100%, because it's, had they said something, it would have been dismissed regardless. Why? Because they're children. And you know what? As a child, as much as I thought I was an old soul and that I didn't know anything. And so they can think all that they want, but they're very smart, and thank God that they had Lena and Steph to kind of guide them through life, to tell them that this is how it works. And so they knew not to say anything and to just go with what they had. Like, Brandon is unbelievable in regards to the way he helps Callie with everything.
Yeah.
Like, he actually plays her brother too, no matter what, that's the weird part, and I really do get that. But that's why later in life, when they can grow up and when she doesn't necessarily need this family, but she'll have them anyways, it'll be accepted amongst everyone, because it'll be undeniable once they're adults, because you're going to be able to express yourself more freely.
Yeah, I think that while they would have said like this, you don't want your kids, whatever, I think they would have to give value to the fact that they did have sex.
Yeah.
And like, even if they're telling them you can't be together, they can't like maybe stop them from like continuing that and like hooking up further. So I think that they possibly would have like separated them. Into another house, and
that's the last thing that they needed, because that's their support.
And I will just say, when they had a peace, there was the restraining order. So imagine if we went further.
Right.
What would that have been within our household? I will say, in the finale, there's a lot that goes on.
Yeah, we see that preview.
Prepare yourself.
I know she's going to tell them that she's going to say that they can't fight it.
I didn't say that.
No, but I saw. I know, Callie. I
saw her
putting
eyes.
words in his mouth. I forgot about the restraining order. That was huge.
Yeah. And then they ask her that question in the interview for the preview next week. And then when she cries, it's one of those things where when you have to be honest, you have to be honest. Especially about something that you can't, like, remember that whole conversation about them not regretting it?
Yeah.
It gets to the point when you deny. You're like, no, I don't want to deny this anymore. This is what I feel. This is what I want.
Their relationship, too, has evolved quite a bit this season. They're being very open and honest with each other. And that's been a big change.
Well, Ashley, as a former flame of Brandon...
oh God!
How do you feel about the Bradley situation? Because I know you're a fan of the show too. Like, are you feeling like they will end up together? Are you feeling like they need time apart?
Oh God, I don't know. I was like the biggest Bradley. I think the last time I was here, didn't we discuss that?
Yeah.
I love them together, and I feel so bad that I'm breaking them up. But I love now that Callie has such a family, and I love that she has a support system, and I love what she's doing with is it the app?
Yes.
Doing it. Yes.
Boston
Yes.
Found.
I got it
Boston
right.
Found.
I'm a couple episodes behind. No, but I love what she's doing with the app now, and I don't know. I really like the relationship now, so I don't know. I guess you're right. I guess in a few years they could revisit it, but I think right now it's
where it needs to be.
It's where it needs to be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's been really dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
So dramatic.
In the past 3 episodes, girl.
This is what
Oh
I
my
live
God.
for.
I
gotta catch up.
just watching all of this right now, watching the three of you discuss it. No, it's really wonderful actually. That's what entertainment is for. That's what television is about. It's about being able to create something that causes feelings in people, to discuss it, to be able to, whether it's an up or down, and it's what you were talking about before, not necessarily going off of what are people wanting, but you reel them in, you give them something that they want, and then you say, okay, now we're going to take it here, and we're going to say, make them feel whatever it is. And the fact that we've been discussing this for how long now, and it continues to provoke. I'm loving it. I'm loving watching that.
I'm loving it too.
Just to clarify,
Yeah, right? You gotta be.
It's like a tennis match.
Just to clarify, you're ready for us to move on? Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all.
No, okay.
Not at all. No.
Because I have one more.
I can see how that goes.
I have one more point, if that's okay.
Then you please go ahead, sir.
Should we do a Twitter poll?
Okay.
Okay. No.
No.
So I keep talking. No. Speaking of giving people what they want, not giving them what you want is what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
It's like the Ross and Rachel effect in Friends.
Yeah.
You want them together from season 1. They got together, and then that happened.
They were on a break.
They were on a break, and then he got married, and then Rachel.
Rachel?
You know what I'm saying? And that's what
Right.
makes the show interesting. What makes you want to watch it? Had they got together from season 1 and spent 9 seasons together, Ross and Rachel, you'd be like, am I bored? I don't know.
Boring.
And then speaking of Friends, it kind of has the quality that The Fosters has. The Fosters has amazing things that I keep watching for, but like Friends, I don't have a favorite character because I like them all so much.
Really? That's
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah.
We that was always our intention. We wanted it to feel like a home, like comfort, like some of those shows that I grew up on, Friends, Roseanne, those shows like I Love Lucy, even back in the day, like where you felt like you just wanted to be in that living room and you wanted to be a part of those people's lives. And anytime you get home and you're not feeling well, or you've had a bad day, or just turn on those shows and you just can it's like a warm blanket.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about The Fosters. I rewatch episodes on Netflix all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Good to know.
I have
love that.
I have friends who will text me all the time randomly now because they didn't start and they've just watched me talk about it all the time. Like, I started watching The Fosters, I'm obsessed. I started watching The Fosters, I'm obsessed. Or like, oh, me and my daughter started watching this. It's such a good platform for families to discuss, and then for also even adults to kind of watch, revisit their own life situations just to see how things are. And I like that The Fosters does it in such a real way, but not dramatic in a sense where it's where sometimes TV overdoes it. It's just exactly how it is, and it's all situations and more of our generation rather than your Family Matters or Full House or stuff like that.
Right.
I even know
Good to
some
hear.
major TV snobs, and I'm like, guys, yeah, it's on Freeform, but just give it a chance. I'm telling you, watch the pilot episode and then come and talk to me and tell me that you don't want to see what happens to the girl that was in juvie. It pulled us in so hard, and I think that, obviously we have to, credit you and Joanna and Peter, because it's this amazing thing, and, we're so happy because we get to share it with you guys, and it brought us together as friends, and it's just we just love it, and that's why we're so happy to finally have you here and both of you, and it's just really nice. It's nice to.
Can we have a
do
kumbaya
this.
moment for
I
a
was just
second?
hold my hand.
From the head.
That was so great. Jeff just never this to me. Yes.
Am I
I
getting
will not
emotional?
show emotion. I will not show emotion.
Jeff is an ice queen.
Thank you so much. I'm in Frozen. Speaking of like the fan support, though, I've never seen it quite to this extent as the Fosters. Like, I'm thinking in particular about like the Bradley birthday project.
Yeah.
Where fans got together and created that. Like, that's amazing.
Taylor,
Yeah.
that was all Taylor, and then she just gathered.
We did one last year too, where we all took Bradleying pictures, and Taylor DM'd me, and she was like, "I need you to like do a Bradleying picture with like a D or like an L on your hand." And I was like, "Okay." And I was literally like in rehearsals, and you guys were all calling me to come downstairs. I think we were doing tech or something.
Yeah.
I was like, "I gotta take this picture," and I'm like in the back trying to get a picture of it. But Taylor's so good at like heading all of that stuff.
Literally, I was in the writer's room when I got it, I think. I was at work. I'm pretty sure I was in the writer's room because I was around a lot of people, and I started to tear up. So I had to get up and go in my office, and I sat in my office for half an hour just reading through everything. And, you know, we're so lucky that way because we're surrounded by so many great people and so many people that love the show. And, you know, when we hashtag Foster's Family, we really mean it, you know? It has become a community. It's become, you know, one big viewing party, and everyone's connecting and making friends that you hear about all the time. And
Oh yeah,
I just
a
love
lot.
it. So lucky,
so
so
many
grateful
like
that-
people who have come together. Like we have our regulars, you know. Shout out to Emma, to Abby, to
Right.
Laura, to all these
Lizette,
people, to Lizette. Like, and that's the one. Like, out of all the podcasts that I do, my phone blow the second Monday and Tuesday come around. Just. That's the
Blows
only time
up.
I'm like, dang, I'm popular. That's what's up. You know, but it's just because they're so willing to talk about it, and I think they see that we're like just as invested as well.
Yeah.
And they like that because I wish I had this show in high school because I would have made a club.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the Foster's Fam Club.
Well, there's also a love fest going on Twitter. Megan_Black06 tweeted, "I created this Twitter to talk about the Fosters.
Wow.
The only show that I fangirl this hard for." Lizette Escobar says, "It's real life situations. I love that about it." Sierra Carter said, "I hooked my mom and my grandma." Brittany Alyssa said, "I'll rewatch every weekend with my mom and she gets annoyed." No, but it's just like there's so many messages from you guys and we so appreciate it. You know, obviously Bradley reads all your tweets because he's really good about replying to all of them.
I do. It's become an important part of the process for me. You know, even if I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning just trying to get through as much as I can, I do it when I can.
Go to bed.
I don't
You're busy.
sleep.
You're
I know. I know.
Bradley does. I said you don't sleep.
I really don't.
You don't.
I need more sleep.
We gotta just talk about the Jude and then Steph moment.
Yeah.
Jude, we saw rocking out. He breaks down, crying. He's still none of his first boyfriend.
Yeah.
Are you wearing blue
was-
for Jude? Nails?
That's why
She
I
is.
kept
She
looking at her
Jillian's
nails.
nails.
I was like, I kept grabbing her hands.
Yeah, totally planned it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, for Hayden coming next week. That broke my heart, honestly. I feel like, you know, a lot of the fans have been really vocal to us about sort of like missing Jude a lot this season and him not being around as much. But, you know, obviously they do a really good job of sort of letting each character shine. And I feel like a lot of characters that maybe didn't have their shine in the first half got their shine in the second half. With Jude in this episode and the flashbacks, which I thought were really amazing as far as the pacing of the episode.
Yes.
It made the episode breeze by, and I was like actually disappointed when it was over. I was like, oh my god. But the flashbacks were really effective, especially with Jude and sort of the emotional roller coaster that he's been going through. And I really had no idea that it was going to hit him this hard. Did you guys feel that way?
I was waiting for it. I wanted it to
Yeah.
because I knew that it was going to affect him. But he's so young that he didn't realize it until certain situations kind of happen to you. You know, when you get perspective, and then once you can apply it to yourself, you're like, okay, I'm allowed to feel this way. And like as a kid, I was waiting for that because I remember being so like the things I would write just because it's the first time you feel things. You know, as an adult, we're used to it and we know how to brush things off and be like, well, I'm going to ignore that. But you can't do that as a kid because you don't even know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So it was really beautiful to have him see that moment, and even as an actor, to see him cry and to see him just really kind of invest himself in that role.
You also have to remember Callie and Jude, they protect their hearts a little bit more than a lot of us do. And so they might bottle some stuff up and eventually it's going to come out. And that's what happened with Jude. You know, it's, uncork that bottle and it's going to.
Yeah, and it's hard for like men to show emotion, as I'm a great example of. And but like,
You ice queen.
but like jumping up and down and like that physical release was such a great way for him.
How
to like, open
adorable
up.
is he in that scene?
Now,
He's so adorable.
I
Oh my
know.
god.
Both of
One
them.
of my favorite moments.
They were just like so great, and that's why it was so crushing to see the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta ask, Steph, how did you predict it was Jack? Because I didn't see that coming.
Right away, because that was the same foster parent that that Jude and Callie had, and he was going somewhere new. And so the second when she started walking into the kitchen, I was like, don't let it be Jack, don't let it be Jack.
It didn't cross my mind.
Because that's the only reason why there'd even be conflict. And Jack was already someone who's been rebelling, someone who's been difficult in his other homes. And then it was like the perfect way for them to have something that serious happen to the foster community that now Callie can rep, like, you know, and just trying to say, like, this is why we're making this app. This is why it's so important, because a child just died from this fool over here that wanted to, you know, act some type of way.
Well, but it's just another.
It just makes it.
I think you're the only person I've talked to that has predicted it was going to be Jack.
What?
I said you're the only person I've talked to who predicted it was going to be Jack. That's really funny.
But
We just had a feeling going into it. It's just, I mean, obviously it's crushing and unbelievable that things like this occur, but kudos to you guys for bringing it to light, because this is stuff that's happening every day, and you don't hear about it.
And as a culture, we say this all the time about the foster care system. We, as a culture, as American citizens, we don't want to look at some of the systems that are broken in our country. And this is one of the systems that it's one of the most broken.
Right.
You know, especially when corporate America starts to interfere with the foster care system, and it becomes about making a profit on kids. And that's why we're doing this whole Justina storyline this season and putting Jack in that home, and look at what happens when you're not paying attention, when it's about the dollar signs and it's not about the child.
Yeah.
So,
I was just telling them both that this weekend I met a couple who adopted 3 teenage foster kids, inner city Chicago, and 2 of them, their mother was murdered by their father. So it's just one of those things that not only are these just children without families, like, we really don't understand the extent of their trauma and what they've been through, and how, like, you know, if we don't help them now, you know, we don't know what they're gonna do or how they're gonna handle their situations later. And so that's when they said that, I was like, oh my God, thank God for the fosters. And of course I told them about the show. I'm like, you have to watch the show, watch it with your kids, talk to them about it.
And it's nice having a show you can recommend to people without thinking like, are they gonna like it?
Oh, right. You know? No, I'm like, relax, watch it.
But with Jack too, I thought it was so nice that like addressing the fact that he kissed Jude and then he didn't think he was gay. It's so much easier for kids nowadays to be more like open about their sexuality, but just the whole fact that there's not 1 or 10 things that make or don't make you gay.
Right.
And the fact that he had like kissed one guy and he was like, I'm not gay. It's like, that's an important example for people to see.
yeah.
Right.
And he was just being a friend that loved Jude, you know? Yeah.
I know.
I know. It is heartbreaking.
They had such a
Wait till
complicated
you see the
relationship.
finale.
I know, I'm like, damn.
Oh, God.
You think Jude is heartbroken now?
I
Wait,
know.
yeah.
And then the last thing I want to say about Jude and Lena is next time they see a show, they should not text while people are on stage. That is so rude.
Well, Lena's worried about her
kidding me?
wife.
It
I
was
mean,
so funny. I thought the same thing. I was like, dude,
She
why are
should
you
know
texting
better
right
than
now?
that.
So funny.
That's the first time I've ever been mad at Lena.
well, have you been to the Rockwell? Everyone's like,
Right? Peter, one of our cast members, called somebody out on it once, and that guy got real upset. He was like, no, dude, you were texting during the show. Like, what do you want me to do?
Also, the Rockwell setup, it's like a thrust. Their table is 2 seconds from the stage.
Oh yeah, and when you're fighting all around those tables, I
When
mean,
your family
and you
came
end
to
up
the
in someone's
show,
pork
I
chop.
Oh yes,
I-
my dad had
was
to
it
move
Hunter
my
that I,
youngest
like-
sister out of the way so she
Our
didn't
fight
get
sequence
trampled.
is like, we are like in people's faces, and when his family came to see the show for the first time, his sisters were sitting right next to the stage, and I remember there's like a part at the end where we're all like going at each other, and I like put myself right in the middle so that they like nobody would hit his sisters. I was like, oh my God,
You're a murderer.
they're gonna get hit.
I wish. I'd have been like, yes. Oh my God, amazing. No, like, it's so real.
Oh my God.
The Rockwell kind of wants that though. They, you know,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
creates that vibe to be able to, you know, interact and also take pictures and tweet and.
I think it's necessary for the
involve
LA
social
audience
media.
too. And then you order a drink.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they want
Yeah.
you drunk.
Yeah.
They want you to
Yeah.
drink. They want you to have fun.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do awesome stuff there. We're almost out of time. Is there anything fun coming up for you guys you can share with us? Any projects you're working on? Any weddings you're planning?
Weddings.
Weddings?
What?
Not a wedding with each other, obviously.
No, I am. I'm getting married this year, and it's amazing. I mean, the fact that I'm getting married is one thing. It's still hard to just wrap my head around sometimes. I mean, at the end of the day, we're so comfortable with each other. We're so in love, and it's like, oh yeah, this is exactly what it is. But sometimes when I step back and I look at it, I go, how am I old enough for that. How is that happening? How is this life? But yeah, it's coming along great, man. It's just been it's been a whirlwind. We're at the place though where we're a few months out and it's crunch time. And it's
a little stressful.
It's a little stressful. Luckily, we're on the same page with everything, so we're not ready to kill each other.
That's good.
Yeah.
We'll do it after.
But
when in doubt, Sasha's always
fantastic.
right.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Well, congratulations.
I know. Thanks, man.
It's so exciting.
Thanks.
Actually,
that's been a lot of my time.
did I see you're dropping a single with Brad Hooks? When is that coming out?
Yes, we recorded it during first run of Battlefield, and then we shot the video for it right after we finished the first run of Battlefield. So we've kind of been sitting on it for a while. And I literally woke up today to Brad Hooks to a text from Brad Hooks that was like, "Here's our cover for the single." And I was like, what? And then it was like, Brad Hooks has tagged you in a picture, and it was the thing that was like coming soon. I was like, oh, okay, great. So yeah, I guess that's coming
happening.
out soon.
It's because he has the number 24 album on iTunes.
I
That's
know.
why.
Well, then I woke up and actually looked at
Capitalize.
Facebook, and it was like, we have this album, and
Yeah.
I was like, there, I get it now. Thank you. Yes. So yeah, that single is coming out soon. It's called Ish, and he wrote it. He wrote it last year and asked if I would sing on it, and it's really cool.
Yay.
Oh,
And
good.
a few of our Battlefielders are in it too. Battlefielders. Who am I? Battlefam. Jordan Rodriguez is in the music video, and Caitlin, who played Haley.
Caitlin Carver, yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, fun. Can't wait to hear that.
It'll be really cool.
Oh my God. Bradley, what about you?
Working on a new musical.
Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, we're changing the title. It's called
Not Sleepy Hollow.
It's called Not Sleepy Hollow.
It's called Not Sleepy Hollow. No, we're calling
Tired.
it Headless.
Oh,
And it's a
nice.
very modern interpretation of Sleepy Hollow. So it's another rock opera that Brad Hooks is writing 20-ish original. 20-ish?
I know. I heard it. I got
Around
you.
20 original songs for it. And we're going to put it up in LA as a workshop in May.
Oh my God. Is
And
casting announced yet?
So Ashley is in it, yes. But it's really freaking cool. It's really dark and gothic.
We have some songs.
The
from it
music's
already, and
incredible.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
So
awesome.
good.
Is that going to be...
In that same text from Brad this morning, I got a Dropbox of the songs that are finished already, so I get to learn them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to record them very soon. So.
Nice.
But we're opening a new space on Hollywood Boulevard, and it's going to be the first show in that space.
Really?
It's literally a block away from the Pantages. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. A very cool space.
Heck yeah.
Wait till you guys see it. It's pretty awesome.
Amazing.
We'll go get sushi.
Yeah.
Tatsuya's across the street.
Absolutely we will.
I can't believe how much stuff you've got going on.
Yeah.
So that, and then Peter and I,
done.
we just sold a new pilot, and I'm dying to talk about it, but we're not allowed to. And it's pretty epic. It's really fantastic.
Is Tut just was that a miniseries or is that coming
That
back?
was a one-time thing.
It was.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There was potential for maybe doing another 6 episodes, and we'll see. I don't know. But
Oh my God,
we're
awesome.
focused on this new show.
Well, thank you so much for being here, all
Yes,
of you.
thank you
Yeah,
so
thank you so
much.
much.
It was a
Good.
blast. It flew by like that. too.
Good. Where can everybody find you guys on Twitter before we go?
At Corbin Bleu, and that's all platforms. That's Twitter, that's Instagram, and Facebook.
Amazing.
Ashley, Argota 9, same for all platforms.
At Bradley Bredweg.
Cool. What about you, Jillian?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jillian Leff, on my Facebook page, Jillian Leff Official, or on Snapchat at Jilly Leff. And I'm going to try to take some snaps before we all leave.
Okay.
Yeah,
For Emma.
for Emma. We're going to
We love
Bradley it.
Emma. We have to take a Bradley picture for Emma,
We're good
right?
listeners.
And you can all find me on Twitter at Stephanie Giorgi, on Instagram at @TheStephanieGiorgi, and for the People vs. O.J. Simpson American Crime Story after show after this.
Cool. And I tweet from Jeff Masters 1. Guys, we'll see you next week for the finale. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.